All right, welcome to the test review for Unit 1 for Algebra 2. So I'm going to run through these problems fairly quickly, and let me know. You can email me if you have any questions. So number 1, find the slope and y-intercept. To do that, I'm going to have to have y equals mx plus b. I got to get these equations into y equals mx plus b. So I need to solve for the y. So anytime you're moving a term, you're only adding and subtracting, and you're moving them from one side of the equation, equal sign, to the other. 9x minus 9x gets crossed out. 6y comes down, it's positive. Minus 24 comes down. And it equals a negative 9x. And then I'm going to add 24, so I need to move that term also. I could have done that right away. Same. 6y equals negative 9x. So I moved the x term first because I want that first. It says it's mx. And the 6 is attached to y by multiplication, so you divide by 6. Negative 9, 6 can be reduced by 3. So that'll be negative 3 over 2. X, 24 divided by 6 is 4. So our slope on the test, I'd like you to circle it. So I know it's going to be a negative 3 over 2, or write it separately. And the y-intercept is your b, and it's a positive 4. All right, number 2. So we to get y equals mx plus b, I'm going to just add 2. 16x plus 2 equals y. So that's y equals mx plus b. The m is always the coefficient in front of the x. The b is always, the y-intercept is always the constant when it's y equals. Looking at number 3. Here I'm going to add 5. Add 5. I have like terms. The 8 and 5 are both constants. So that's 13 minus 4x equals 9y. And then opposite multiplication is division. Anytime you multiply or divide in an equation, you have to multiply or divide every term. So we have y equals 13 ninths. Can't reduce that. 4 ninths can't reduce. And my y-intercept, my b, is 13 ninths. My slope, or my m, is a negative 4 ninths. Not the x, just negative 4 ninths. All right, number 4. The y is almost by itself. I just got to multiply by the reciprocal, 4 over 1, which is 4. And remember, anytime you multiply or divide in an equation, you have to multiply or divide every term by whatever you're multiplying. Oh, I shouldn't do that. So 4 times 1 is 4, and 1 times 4 is 4. And 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 1 times y is y. So it really, ultimately, they get crossed out, and it just becomes y. When I multiply 4 times 3/5, I want to multiply the numerator. So that's 12. Multiply the denominator. 5 times 1 is 5. Multiply, so that's there. Multiply 4 times 1 is 4. 2 times 1 is 2. So I get 12/5 x. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So my y-intercept, or my slope, is 12/5. My y-intercept, my b, is negative 2. All right. Now we're going to write each equation in slope-intercept form, so we're really doing the same thing. But now we're going to graph. So I'm going to move my x term first, and I'm going to actually add 2 right away too, to make it kind of 2 steps in one. Save a little space. Divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2. We get y equals negative. Divided by negative is a positive. Remember, there's a 1 here, so I'm going to pull that 1/2 out. And then 2 divided by negative 2 is negative 1. So graphing that, I got my y-intercept at negative 1. So I'm going to put a point at negative 1. And then I'm going to go rise over run, up 1, right 2. Up 1, right 2. Up 1, right 2. And I can also go down 1, left 2. Go the opposite directions. And I'm getting that from my slope. Down 1, left 2, down 1, left 2. And then draw your nice line. Done. Okay, number 6. Y equals mx plus b. I'm going to move a term that's on the same side as the y. I'm going to make the x term first, so negative 12x, and the 28 is positive, so I'm going to write it as plus 28. I'm going to divide by negative 8, divide by negative 8, divide by negative, sorry, 8, not negative. Y equals 12a, negative 12a can be reduced by 4. So that'd be negative 3 over 2x. 28 divided by 8, that doesn't divide. So I'm going to divide by 4, divide by 4. 28 divided by 4 is 7. 8 divided by 4 is 2. All right, 7 halves as a decimal is 3.5. That's my y-intercept. So I'm going to go up to 3.5, about 3.5, somewhere in the middle there. And then I'm going to go down 3 and write 2. So down 1, 2, 3, and then write 2. 1, 2. And that's going to be another point. I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, right 2. I can keep going with that pattern. I could also go up and left, but really you only need 2 points to draw a line. All right, number 7. Again, get y equals mx plus b. The easy way here, I typically don't do it, but the easy way is to just add y. There are other ways to do this. Typically I don't move the y term, but if I add y, then it's a positive y. And now I have my y-intercept is negative 1, and my slope is 4 over 1. So I go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, right 1. And go up 4, right 1 again. And I can go down 4 if I need to. 1, 2, 3, 4, left 1. You really only need 2 points, but the more you put, the better your line's going to be. All right, number 8. I am going to move the subtract 15. So negative 15 minus x equals 3y. Divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3. Negative 5 minus 1 over 3x. Remember, that's a 1 there. And that negative, put it out in the middle. So my y-intercept is negative 5. My slope is down 1, right 3. It's a negative slope, so it should be going down from left to right. In other words, you can go up 1, left 3, if you for some reason ran out of room. All right, now finding x and y intercepts. To do this, to find your x-intercept, you set the y equal to 0. And to find your y-intercept, set your x equal to 0. That's the easiest way to do this. So y equals 0, so I'm going to put a 0 in for y. And plus 6/5 x equals 2. Well, 0 plus 6/5 x is 6/5 x. And then 6/5 to multiply by the reciprocal, it's 5/6. So 5 times 6 is 30. 6 times 5 is 30. 30 divided by 30 is 1. And then 1 times x is x. So really, what we do is we just cross these out. But it's not cross multiplying, we just cross it out. Because ultimately it's going to become x. And on the right side, you got 2 times 5 multiplied across the numerator. That's 10. Multiply across the denominator. 1 times 6 is 6. So we got 10/6, which reduces down to 5/3. So 5/3 is going to be 1 2/3 is your x-intercept. So 1 2/3 is somewhere in here on your x-axis. And I'll do the y-intercept. So when x equals 0, so it's going to be y plus 6/5 times 0 equals 2. So I went back up to the original equation and put in 0 for x. 6/5 times 0 is 0. Y plus 0 is y. So you really get to be y equals 2. So that's your y-intercept. All you need is 2 points to draw your line. Number 10, let's do the same thing. X-intercept. Set the y equal to 0. So 3 halves x minus 5/6 times 0 equals negative 15. 3 halves x equals negative 15. 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 divided by 6 is 1. 1 times x is x. Negative 15 times 2 is negative 30. 1 times 3 in the denominator is 3. Negative 30 divided by 3 is negative 10. So the x value is negative 10. That's good. And then we got the y-intercept. Set the x equals to 0. So 3/2 times 0 is 0. 0 minus 5/6y is just a negative 5/6y. And then multiply by the reciprocal. Keep the negative, because 2 negatives multiply to a positive. And we ultimately want positive 1. So you multiply your numerators, that's 30. Multiply your denominators, 30. 30 divided by 30 is 1. 1 times y is y. Multiply your numerators. Negative 15 times negative 6 is 90. 1 times 5 in the denominator is 5. 90 divided by 5 is 18. So the y value is 18, and you actually can't graph that on here. So you can't graph it that way. You'd have to find like y equals mx plus b. So if you put it into y equals mx plus b, then you could get the slope and go off of your 1 point that you already have. So on a test though, I would absolutely have it so you could actually graph it on the graph. It was just a mistake here. All right, number 11. I'm gonna put it just using point slope form. Point slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And the x1 and y1, those are your points. That's your first point. That's your point in the equation. So really, like, this first one is y minus a negative 4 equals 3/4 x. So I'm breaking up that plus into a minus a negative, because in the formula there already are subtractions. So let me show you. The subtraction here is really that subtraction there. And the subtraction inside with the x is the subtraction here. And then you have this negative 2. So that x minus negative 2, that negative 2 is your x value. And the negative 4 is your y value. What I always look at is, if it's a positive 4, the y value is going to be negative 4. If the x value is positive 2, it's going to be negative 2. They're always opposite. So if that helps you, hopefully it does. So my coordinate is negative 2, so I go on to x negative 2, and I do it down 4, and that's my first point. Now I have my slope, which is up 3. So I go from my point of negative 2, negative 4, and I go up 1, 2, 3, and I go to the right 1, 2, 3, 4. And I can continue that pattern if I can count. I usually go with at least 3 points until we get to systems, then I draw all the points. So my next one, I have, remember this is y minus negative 5, so that's going to be my y value is negative 5. My x value is 3. I always think of it as opposite of what you see. So it's a positive 5, so negative 5. It's a negative 3, so it's a positive 3. Always think of it opposite. It helps me. Yeah, so hopefully that helps you too. Otherwise, think of the formula. So 3, negative 5, and I'm going to use the slope, negative 5 over 2. I always put the negative on the numerator. You can slide it to the numerator or denominator, but not both. Never both. So up 5, right 2. Ooh, I'm doing it wrong. Not up 5. Down 5, right 2, because the points have to, from left to right, go down. I can go up 5 and left 2 if I put the negative in the denominator. So up 5, left 2. All right, moving on. 13. I got to get a line that passes through, an equation that passes through those 2 points. And looks like I'm going to go with point slope form first. So first thing I'm going to do is get my slope. to get my slope, I need to get my slope formula. Ooh, that's 2. So slope formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So my slope is -2. And a lot of times I'll put parentheses around them so I don't get mixed up with this subtraction. So -2 minus 2, the y1. And then in the denominator it's x2 minus x1. -2 minus 2 is -4. -7 minus 3 is -10. Negative divided by negative is positive, and 4/10 reduces by 2. So my coordinate, now that's my slope. Now I need to find a point. Well, there's 2 points. You choose whichever one you want. I like 3, 2 better just because they're positive. So the point slope form, I got my x and y, so y minus, that's the equation, and then it's 2 equals the slope times x minus the x value, and that's my point slope form. I just write an arrow. And then slope intercept form means that we need to get y equals. To get y equals, we need to get rid of the parentheses. So 2/5 times x is 2/5 x. 2/5 times 3 is 2 times 3, multiply your numerators, multiply your denominators. The left side I'm not touching, so that's going to come down y minus 2. And then I got to get the y by itself. So y equals 2/5 x. I don't know what -6/5 plus 2 is. So I need to get, if I'm adding fractions, I need like denominators, so I need to multiply by 5 over 5. So that's really -6/5 plus, we got 10 over 5. And that will add my numerators to 4, denominators is the same, so 4/5. And there is your answer for slope intercept form. Oh. All right, number 14, same thing. Here, though, since I have a graph, I'm not going to do the slope formula. I'm just going to count up from my 1 point. So I have up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a positive slope, so my slope is 7 over 4. It's got to be a positive number because it's from left to right. It's going up. The graph is going up from left to right. And then I got to choose a point. Now I got to choose one of the points. I'm going to choose this one because, again, they're like before the last problem, they're both positive. That's the only reason why I choose it. So y minus y1. It's y1 because it's the only point that I chose. It's the slope times x minus x1. And it's x1 because it is the only point that we chose. There's only 1 point for this. Now for slope intercept form, I need to distribute the 7/4 because in slope intercept form there is no parentheses. So that's -21 over 4. I'm going to add 5, and I don't know off the top of my head what -21/4 plus 5 is, so I got to change that. We're adding fractions, so I need the denominators the same. Once you got like denominators, you subtract the numerators. And there's your slope intercept. All right. When it comes to horizontal and vertical lines, should be somewhat quick. If a line goes through the points -3, 5, and 4, 5, that is, you can draw a little point. You could do your slope. It might be the easiest way to do this. Find slope. So it's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's going to end up being 0 over 7. 0 does divide by 7, so it's 0 is your slope. If you have a 0 slope, that means it's flat. That means it's a horizontal line. There's no hill to it at all, so it's a horizontal line. And the equation for this, it's as simple as in horizontal and vertical are always the same thing. The thing that's repeated is that the y value equals 5. That's the equation. So number 16, you can actually look at it right away, and you can see that the x values are repeated. So that's my equation, is x equals -4. That's the only thing you can say about the problem. If you want to get the slope, I'll do the slope with x, y, 1, 2, first point, second point. So I got -2 minus 0, and then -4 minus -4. -2 minus 0 is -2. -4 minus a negative is plus, so that's 0. You cannot divide by 0 ever in math. So that would be undefined, meaning we cannot find it. We can't define a number. There's no number that can actually, that makes sense for. So it's undefined slope, and it's a vertical line. So here's your equation, here's the slope. All right, number 17 is a vertical line. So a vertical line means that the x value repeats. So it's going to be x equals -3. And it'll be undefined slope. My algebra 1 teacher always, or algebra 2 teacher always said, if it's a vertical line, or if you can't walk it, then it doesn't have a slope. Likewise, we have over here, it's a flat line, which is horizontal, like looking out at the horizon from left to right, and that would be y equals -4. Any point along the line, this is another way to look at it, any point along the line is where y value is -4. The x value changes, but the y value doesn't. And the same thing over here. Anywhere you look along the line, it's where the x value is -3. The y values change, but not the x's. All right, number 19. Solve by graphing. The graph, I would get it in the slope-intercept form. All of them. So the top equation, just subtract x, divide by -2, negative divided by negative is a positive. You have -4 is your y-intercept, and you can have your slope is 1 over 2. Up 1, right 2, up 1, right 2, up 1, right 2. Down 1, left 2. And I'd go do all the points because I don't know, one of these is most likely going to be my solution. I just don't know which one it is, so I'm going to draw them all out. And then on my second equation, I got to get the y by itself, so I'm going to subtract 6x. I don't have any like terms there, so I'm just going to rewrite it. And divide by -1. Don't forget that negative. A lot of students do that. Negative divided by negative is positive. Negative divided by negative is positive, so I have 7 is my y-intercept. And then 6 over 1, so down 6. I go up 6, but I'm off the graph, so I got to go down 6. And instead of right 1, I'm going to go left 1. Go down 6 and left 1, and there we go. That's the intersection point, so that point is -2 and -5. That is my solution. -2, -5. All right, next one, do the same thing. So move your term, split up the y, opposite operation, multiplication is division. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Go up 4 and to the right 3. Up 4, right 3. You can also go down 4 and left 3. Draw your line. Let's solve. This one's actually pretty easy. You could just divide by 12 everywhere. That's, even though it's a little backwards of what you're probably used to. 16/12 can reduce to 4/3. Y-intercept is 2, and our slope is 4. Whoa, it's the same exact line. So if it's the same line, how many times do they actually touch each other or intersect? Infinite amount of times. So this is an infinite solution. If you don't want to write out the word infinite on a test, if you want to do the infinity symbol, I'm cool with that too. All right, substitution. The main thing with substitution, the number one thing is get a variable solved for. So on one of the equations, you have to look and which variable is going to be the easiest to get by itself. X equals or Y equals, it doesn't matter. So I'm looking through this bottom equation, that X is going to be the easiest to get by itself because all you have to do is subtract 7Y. It doesn't matter about easy, like you can solve for any other variable, but this typically, by doing this, you're going to save yourself a lot of time with no or less fractions. I wouldn't say no fractions, but less fractions. So now I have, it says x equals negative 7y minus 6. So I'm going to replace that x value in the first equation with negative 7y minus 6. So it's 5 times x, so it's 5 times negative 7y minus 6, subtract 4y equals 9, which is where I'm getting here. So negative 5 times, and make sure to put in parentheses, negative 7y minus 6, and then subtract 4 equals 9. All right, now we can solve for the y. So to solve, I'm going to distribute negative 35y minus 30, subtract 4y equals 9. Negative 35y minus 4y is negative 39y minus 30 equals 9. Add 30. What's this up here? Negative 39y equals 39. Divide by negative 39 to get the y by itself. And our y value is going to equal negative 1. Cool. We got the y value. Now we got to get the x value. Easiest way to get the x value, use the equation that works best for you. This one already says x equals, so that's why I'm going to use it. But you can use any of the equations you want. It does not have to be the one I'm choosing. The cool thing, if there was something cool here, would be any of the equations can come up with the exact same answer. So negative 7 times negative 1 is 7. 7 minus 6 is 1. So my x value is 1 of my solution. My y value is negative 1 from up above. All right, looking at number 22, looking at what variable I would solve for, and I'm going to go with actually this y right here. Not really the easiest. I guess it is. I try to look for stuff, terms that don't have coefficients. That way I'm not dealing with fractions as much. You may think that I'm a math teacher and I might actually like fractions, but if I don't have to work with them, I don't. That negative there is still there, so we do have to deal with that. We divide by negative 1. But really, when you're dividing by negative 1, it changes the signs on everything. Just switches them. In this case, makes them positive. So now the y value equals 8x plus 23. I'm going to go to the other equation and look where the y is, and I'm going to replace it with 8x plus 23. That's 3 times y. So when we replace it, we're going to get 2x from up here plus from here 3 times 8x plus 23 equals negative 35. All right, let's distribute to get rid of the parentheses. So the 2x comes down. 3 times 20 times 8 is 24x. 3 times 23 is 69. Equals negative 35. Combine your like terms on the same side typically, so 2x plus 24x is 26x. And then combine your like terms on opposite sides of the equal sign, so when you're doing the opposite side, you do opposite signs. So you get 26x equals, and that's negative 104. A little question mark in there because that's a pretty big number to do in my head. So I'm going to actually just quickly check it. Negative 35 minus 69. Yep, 104. So negative 104. Divide by 26. Divide by 26. That's 4. X equals negative 4 since 1 is negative. So the x is negative 4. And now you got to figure out what equation would be the best to get the y value. Well, this one right here has y equals, so let's use that one. But again, you can use any equation you want. Any of the original equations would have worked also. 8 times negative 4 is negative 32 plus 23. Negative 32 plus 23 is negative 9. And so our x value of our solution is negative 4 from up here, and our y value is negative 9. All right, moving on to elimination. Elimination, we have your goal is to get the x values lined up vertically, the y values lined up vertically, those are not, and the constants lined up vertically, so they are not. Typically, you want to get in the x and y values on the same side of the equal sign and the constant term on the opposite side of the equal sign. So we want the top equation to look something like the bottom. So to do that, I am going to, really all I'm doing is swapping the y term, the 14y and the 10. I'm going to swap those. But when you're moving across the equal sign, you have to do the opposite operation. That might be confusing what I just did, but it's 3x minus 14y. A lot of you guys do this in your head, which is really cool. So now I'm going to rewrite everything. Rewrite the top equation, 3x minus 14y equals negative 10. Rewrite the bottom equation, 8x minus 7y equals 34. And now my goal, since I have my x values lined up vertically, so I have my x's lined up vertically, my y's lined up vertically, my equal signs and my constants. Everything's lined up vertically. So now my goal is to think, how can I get one of the constant or one of the coefficients in front of the x value to be opposites, or the y values? What's going to be the easiest to get opposite? And thinking about like what I have to multiply by. And I'm actually seeing in the denominator, or in the bottom equation, if I were to multiply the bottom equation by negative 2 times negative 7 is positive 14. That's the opposite value of negative 14, which is in the top equation. That's what I want. I want opposites. We could have done the x's. You would have multiplied the top by, say, 8 and the bottom by negative 3, or a negative 8 and positive 3, whichever one. So I'm going to choose this one because I just think it's a little easier. I'm going to rewrite the top equation because I'm not multiplying that one by anything in my scenario. The bottom equation, negative 2 times 8x is negative 16x. Negative 2 times negative 7 is a positive 14y. And negative 2 times 34 is negative 68. Add this vertically, and we get negative 13x. The y values are eliminated, which is why it's called elimination. Negative 10 minus plus negative 68 is negative 78. Divide by negative 13. And we get our x value to be 6. So if our x value is 6, now we got to find the y value. Well, you can use any equation you want. The top equation up here was kind of close to being solved for y. So I'm going to use that one. So it's 3x, so 3 times 6 plus 10 equals 14y. So 3 times 6 is 18. 18 plus 10 is 28. Divide by 14. 28 divided by 14 is 2. So that's my y value. So x is 6, my y value is 2. All right, let's look at number 24. I need to get these lined up. We call it standard form, call it standard form. So the top equation, I'm going to subtract 12y. So that becomes 18x minus 12y equals 7. The bottom equation, I need to do a little bit more with that, don't I? Actually, no, I can just add 8y. Oh my gosh, that's not a y. 8y. And so I get 21. I'm going to write that on the right side, though. 21 equals negative 12x plus 8y. That might be a little confusing for you. So what I did, if it was confusing, I took the right side and the left side and just swapped them to line up the x's, y's, and equal signs. Since they're equal, that means I can go in any order I want. I need to separate this out. So there are my two equations. I then have to look, how can I get opposite coefficients on the x's or on the y's? I can't just multiply one of them. Well, I could, but it'd be a fraction. I don't want to deal with fractions. So I'm going to look at multiplying both equations by something. I'm going to multiply the top equation by, I'm going to try to eliminate the x's in this case. No real reason. So I'm going to choose it to be 12 and 18. Reason why I chose 12 and 18, pretty simple. You have 18 here, so I'm going to multiply by 18 on the bottom. I have negative 12 in the denominator, so I'm going to multiply by positive 12. And you might be like, why did you switch that? Well, your goal is to get opposite coefficients. So 12 times 18 is the opposite of negative 12 times 18. They're going to be opposite coefficients in the end. So I have 12 times 18 is 216. Big numbers, but we can deal with big numbers. So I got 216 x minus 144y equals 84. In the denominator, I have negative 216x. 8 times 18 is 80, 64, 144, plus 144y equals 21 times 18 is 378. Didn't know that one off the top of my head. All right, on the left side, looks like we got a lot of elimination going on. 216x minus or plus negative 216x is 0. Negative 144y plus 144y is 0. And we got 378 plus 84 is 462. 0 does not equal 468. That doesn't make any sense. If it makes no sense, then mathematically it has to be a no solution. All right, moving on. Word problems. We're almost there. Thanks for sticking with me. Chase and Sarah went to the candy store. Chase brought 5 pieces of fudge, 3 pieces of bubble gum for a total of $5.70. Sarah bought 2 pieces of fudge and 10 pieces of bubble gum for a total of $3.60. So in class, I tell you guys a lot, like there's 2 different scenarios that are going to be talked about. There's one of our scenarios is Chase, and the other one is Sarah. And if you're looking for what is the variable, what are they going to be? Just look at the question. Well, how much is 1 piece of fudge? So that's part of it. Is I'm going to say fudge is going to be F, and that's going to be the cost of fudge, of 1 piece of fudge. And then B is going to be, I'm going to make that B for cost of gum, for 1 piece of gum. I'm going to make it green so that it kind of matches up. So Chase bought 5 pieces of fudge, so 5 times however much fudge is, plus 3 times however much bubble gum is, I don't know. And that's going to equal $5.70. Sarah, I guess I can't write this in yellow. We'll go orange because it kind of, you can see it a little better. It's 2 times F, because he's buying 2 pieces of fudge that we don't know how much each fudge piece costs. 10 pieces of bubble gum, this is what I like my gum, times B, that equals $3.60. All right, now I'm going to look at the question because I want to be able to figure out how can I solve this fastest. So I want 1 piece of fudge, the cost of fudge. So I don't want to eliminate fudge. This one's already set up for elimination, but I want to keep the fudge there. I want to eliminate the B terms, because when I eliminate the B terms, it's going to be left with F, so I'll be able to solve for F. So I see with 3 and 10, there's nothing I can multiply by easily, like the 3 and the 10. Like I can't multiply one of them. So I'm going to multiply the top by 10 and the bottom by 3. That'll give me 30 in both. I'm going to make one of them negative, so then it'll be net positive 30 and negative 30. So this top equation, when I multiply that 10 in, is going to be 50 F plus 30 B equals 570 times 10 is $57. Bottom equation, when I multiply, so that was distributed all the way across, is a negative 6F minus 30B, that is not a B, Mr. Johnson, equals negative 3 times 360 is a negative 1080. Add vertically, we have 44F. My B term is going to eliminate, and I get 4620. When I subtract 50 minus 1080, divide by 44. I get $1. Each piece of fudge costs $1.05. And that's exactly how much is 1 piece of fudge. That's exactly what we want. All right. Number 26, Christian put 18 gallons of mid-grade gas in his truck and filled up his empty 5-gallon gas tank with a regular gas for his lawnmower at home. He spent $59.91. The following week, he puts 14 gallons of mid-grade gas in his truck and topped off his 5-gallon tank with just 1 gallon of regular gas. If he paid $39.75 and the prices remain the same, find the price per gallon of mid-grade gas and regular gas. Okay, so what are my 2 scenarios here? All right, I got 18 gallons of mid-grade gas and 5 gallons in the first week, and that he spent $59.91 on that. The second one, he put 14 gallons of mid-grade and just 1 gallon of regular gas, and he paid $39.75. If I don't know what the equations are, or if I don't know what the variables are, look at what it's asking. It says find the price per gallon of mid-grade. So in M's for mid-grade, I'm going to say, and that's going to be cost per gallon. In regular gas, I'm going to make it an R, and that's going to equal cost per gallon. That's regular gas and mid-grade gas. So setting this up, I have 18 gallons of mid-grade, so 18M times however much mid-grade costs, plus 5 gallons of regular, so 5 gallons of regular, and that's going to be a total of $59.91. In the next part, in the next problem, we have 14 gallons of mid-grade, and we're adding to that 1 gallon of regular, and that's going to equal $39.75. It is set up for elimination. Again, all of our variables are lined up, equal signs and the constants are lined up. I'm going to multiply the bottom by -5 to eliminate the R value, the R's, because that'll be a 5 and -5. So I'm going to rewrite both. So 18m plus 5r equals 5991. And then a denominator, when multiplying that through, it'll be a negative 70. M minus 5r equals, I don't know what 39.75 times 5 is. Negative 198.75. Add these vertically. We get a negative 52m. The r's are eliminated. And we have $138.84 divided by negative, well, that's a negative. Divide by negative 52, divide by negative 52, and we get m equals $2.67. So mid-grade gas was $2.67 per gallon. Is that what the question's asking? Oh, mid-grade and regular. Okay. So now we got to take that, what we have, and we have to substitute it into one of the original problems. And I somehow ran out of room here. Surprise, surprise. I'm just going to use the bottom equation. So I'm going to take that m, and I'm going to use this bottom equation. So 14 times $2.67 plus 1 times r is just r, 39.75. 14 times 267. 37, and then we subtract our 39.75 from that, and the regular gas is going to be $2.37. So mid-grade is 267, regular is 237. All right, fast food restaurant, we have 4 cheeseburgers and 5 small fries for a total of 2,310 calories, your daily intake. Next one, we have 3 cheeseburgers and 2 small fries, total of 1,330. How many calories does each item contain? So we need to know cheeseburger calories and fry calories. So cheeseburger calories and fry calories. So your first scenario, we have 5 cheeseburgers for 5 times however many calories they are, plus 5 small fries equals 2,310. And our second scenario, we have 3 cheeseburgers, 3 times how many calories in a cheeseburger, we don't know individually yet, and then 2 small fries, and equals 1,330. Now look, how is this set up? And it's again set up for elimination. I'm gonna look at my question. How many calories does each item contain? So it doesn't matter. I have to solve for both anyways. I'm just gonna take and multiply the top and the bottom. I'm gonna choose 3 and 5. That'll give me 15 for the C. I want one of them to be negative, so I'll just choose the denominator to be negative. I'm going to rewrite this a lot smaller. So I have 15C plus 15F equals 2310 times 3, 6930. Oh, that'd be a rough day. Negative 5 times 3C is negative 15C. Negative 5 times 2F is negative 10F. Negative 5 times 1330 is 6,650. Add vertically, and we get 5F so adding negative 6650, and that is 280. Divide by 5, and we get each fry I said each fry is 56. That is not right. Where did I make a mistake? I'm sure you see it. 5 times 1330. 6950. And of course I make the mistake in the last problem. 10, 15, 5. Oh, did I write the wrong stuff down? Oh my gosh, I did. Oh my goodness, I wrote the wrong number all the way up top. That should be a 4. Oh my goodness. So that should be a 4 down here. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. All right. So I have 12C plus 15, and then I have a negative 12 in the bottom, minus 8F equals 5320 when I would distribute this in. I'm sorry. Eliminate my C's, I get 7F equals 1,610 divided by 7, and we get the fry to equal 230 calories. My goodness. And then so we have to figure out, I'm going to use the bottom equation to figure out how many calories cheeseburger has. So 3C plus 2, replace the F with 230, equals 1330. 4 plus 460 minus 460 1330 minus 460 870 divided by 3, and then we're done. Each cheeseburger is 290 calories. And that's what it's asking about. How many calories does each item contain? Yes, there we go. All right. Hopefully you have any questions. Please come to advisor.